If you feel like you're constantly moving but never arriving, pay attention. That's not just fatigue, that's a signal. A sign that somewhere between ambition and exhaustion, you've lost your center. You're doing everything right, setting goals, staying busy, pushing harder. Yet the clarity you crave keeps drifting further away. It's not that you lack motivation, it's that your mind is drowning in noise. Write Your Future. 7 Ways to Change Your Life with Just a Pen begins as a small interruption to that noise, a reminder that progress isn't found in doing more, but in regaining the space to think clearly again. We live in a world obsessed with efficiency, but starving for depth. Our devices remember everything, yet we can barely recall what truly matters. We wake up reaching for screens, fall asleep scrolling through other people's priorities, and call it productivity. Somewhere along the way, we stopped asking whether we were actually moving toward the life we want, or just running in circles faster than before. That's the quiet danger no one warns you about. When busyness starts to feel like purpose, you lose sight of the work that actually changes you. I learned that the hard way and found my way back through something deceptively simple: pen and paper. It doesn't buzz, it doesn't sync, it doesn't demand anything from you. But it gives you something modern life rarely does: focus. When you write by hand, you start to reclaim your own attention. You slow the storm of thoughts just enough to see their shape. Each word becomes an anchor, pulling you back into the present moment. Over time, this simple act becomes a compass. It helps you decide what matters, what doesn't, and where you truly want to go. That's what this book is built to do. Not to make you a better writer, but to help you become the author of your own days. Inside, you'll find 7 practical ways to use handwriting as a mirror, a guide, and a reset button. They'll help you turn confusion into clarity, hesitation into action, and chaos into a rhythm that feels steady again. And that's what Book Sounds Better You believes in: the kind of growth that begins quietly, with reflection instead of reaction. The transformation that doesn't announce itself, but builds from within. Because your future isn't waiting for the perfect timing or the next big breakthrough. It's waiting for you to stop, pick up a pen, and start shaping it deliberately. The warning is simple: if you don't write your story, the world will write it for you. So before another day slips by, turn the page. Begin again. The future isn't something you chase. It's something you write, one clear line at a time. Chapter 1. The Pen Reset: How to Take Back Your Mind in an Overstimulated World. Your mind today is like a browser with 47 tabs open, each one flashing for attention, each one demanding energy that quietly drains your ability to think clearly. Every ping, every message, every urgent email steals a little more of your focus until all that's left is a restless mind pretending to be productive. You move fast, you check boxes, you stay connected. Yet deep down, you know you're drifting. The work that matters most, the ideas that could change everything, sit untouched in the corner of your consciousness, waiting for you to return. This is not because you're lazy or undisciplined. It's because you're living inside a system engineered to fracture your focus and harvest your attention. The great irony of our time is that the very tools designed to make us more efficient are the ones making us less effective. Productivity apps promise clarity but deliver complexity. Notifications masquerade as importance, and while you're chasing the next optimization, your brain is drowning in cognitive overload. This isn't just distraction, it's erosion. Bit by bit, the constant flow of input chips away at your ability to prioritize, reflect, and decide. What no productivity guru will admit is that the cure for overwhelm isn't another system, another sync, or another digital dashboard. It's something far simpler, something ancient. It's sitting in your drawer right now: a pen. Not as nostalgia, but as neuroscience, because the pen, when connected to paper, does something extraordinary. It slows your mind to its natural rhythm. It creates friction between thought and action, and in that small space of resistance, clarity is born. While the world scrolls, you write. While they multitask, you think. While they drown in notifications, you build stillness into your day. Writing by hand externalizes cognition. It moves the chaos from your mental RAM onto the page, freeing your brain to think, decide, and create again. Science calls it cognitive offloading. You'll call it relief. Right now, your brain is carrying hundreds of invisible open loops, half-finished ideas, postponed decisions, forgotten commitments, and the constant guilt of "I should remember that." Each one consumes mental energy. Each one competes for bandwidth. The result? You're constantly processing, never resolving. Even when you're working hard, progress feels random. Urgent tasks crowd out important goals. You know you could be operating at a higher level, but the fog of clutter keeps you grounded. And the worst part? You have no evidence of progress. Digital tools are efficient at capturing data, not meaning. You finish a week's worth of work, but it disappears into the feed. Without a record of accomplishment, your sense of identity as a capable, disciplined person quietly fades. You forget how much you've actually done. The mind begins to equate busyness with failure. That's the hidden cost of digital drift. You're active but aimless, efficient but empty. If you don't interrupt this cycle, it becomes your default operating system. Chronic overwhelm hardwires itself into habit. You start reacting instead of creating, managing instead of building, surviving instead of growing. Days blur into each other, filled with movement but lacking direction. And while you stay busy clearing small fires, someone else is using the same 24 hours to design leverage moves, drafting proposals that win contracts, developing ideas that open doors, and nurturing relationships that compound opportunity. Creativity shrinks in the shadow of constant cognitive load. The mind needs space to connect dots, and space is exactly what the modern world steals first. Your best ideas arrive in the shower, on walks, in the quiet moments you rarely allow yourself, and then they vanish because you have nowhere to catch them. You're not out of ideas. You're out of capture systems. This is where the analog advantage begins. When you pick up a pen, you change the operating rules of your mind. Writing slows time. It forces thought to take form, to become visible, and in that visibility lies power. The act itself, the drag of ink on paper, activates neural circuits that digital typing never touches. You're not just recording information, you're translating chaos into order. Between impulse and action, writing gives you a pause, a fraction of stillness where awareness returns. That single act of slowing down, of connecting brain to hand, is what allows ideas to move from fleeting to concrete. In the space between words, the subconscious begins to speak. The mind starts to process emotions it's been suppressing, and insights rise like air bubbles breaking the surface. You begin to notice the patterns behind your frustration, the fears hiding under your procrastination, the motives shaping your choices. What once felt scattered now starts to align, not because life gets easier, but because your awareness sharpens. On your first pass through Write Your Future, 7 ways to change your life with just a pen, you'll learn 7 writing rituals that rewire how you think and execute. You'll begin with the life audit, an unfiltered look at where your energy truly goes and what's quietly holding you back. Then you'll move into Freewriting, a 12-minute mental cleanse that clears fog and surfaces insight. The Splurge list helps you dump every thought, worry, and to-do onto paper, separating noise from necessity. The Rule of 3 teaches you to focus on leverage, 3 meaningful wins per day instead of endless minor tasks. You'll build your idea bank, a renewable archive of creative and strategic thinking that never fades. Through gratitude notes, you'll strengthen relationships that multiply your success, reminding you that connection is capital. And finally, your done list rewrites your inner narrative from never enough to always progressing. These aren't gimmicks. They're small, repeatable practices that compound over time. Each streak strengthens belief. Each page builds evidence. The system eventually sustains itself because it rewires identity from scattered to centered, from busy to intentional. You'll make faster decisions because you've reduced cognitive noise. You'll execute with consistency because priorities are visible. You'll stress less because everything that matters lives outside your head, on paper, in front of you. The transformation doesn't happen overnight, but it does happen predictably. The more you write, the more you remember. The more you remember, the more you connect. Soon, writing stops feeling like a tool and starts becoming a rhythm. It becomes how you think. You'll begin to notice how a 5-minute journaling session before bed recalibrates your mood, how a morning splurge list clears your brain faster than caffeine, how a simple review of yesterday's done list rebuilds self-trust. This is the power of small analog rituals in a digital age. They create momentum without demanding motivation. They give shape to invisible effort. Each page you fill becomes both compass and mirror, showing you not just where you're going, but who you're becoming on the way there. The deeper benefit, though, is internal. Writing rebuilds agency. In a world that trains you to react instantly, handwriting teaches you to respond deliberately. It restores control at the level that matters most, your attention. Once you learn to protect that, everything else aligns naturally. You begin to notice how much calmer you feel when your thoughts have a physical home. You begin to experience days that feel full, but not frantic. You rediscover the satisfaction of deep work, the flow that only appears when your brain isn't divided by distraction. Momentum grows in silence. Progress compounds in ink. The pen becomes a hinge, the point where chaos swings into order. And because you can see your thoughts, decisions, and victories laid out in front of you, your confidence shifts. You stop guessing whether you're growing. You can see it. The evidence is literal. You built it line by line. As the pages multiply, something subtle but profound happens. You start thinking like a strategist instead of a survivor. You begin to connect your small daily actions to long-term consequences. You stop fighting time and start shaping it. Writing organizes not only your plans, but your perception. And perception drives everything. The benefits extend beyond productivity. Gratitude notes repair relationships that years of busyness have strained. Free writing sessions release emotions that therapy sometimes can't reach. The act of seeing your own handwriting, imperfect and human, reconnects you to your own voice. You stop performing for efficiency metrics and start engaging with your inner compass again. And that's the true compound effect, the invisible accumulation of calm, clarity, and confidence that builds from showing up to the page. Each session clears mental residue. Each note of gratitude strengthens your network of trust. Each done list restores proof that effort matters. You begin to design your life from the inside out, grounded, deliberate, and unmistakably present. While others chase perfect apps, you'll be crafting imperfect progress. While they measure activity, you'll be tracking impact. While they drown in input, you'll be writing outcomes. The truth is, the most successful people you admire aren't hiding a secret tool. They've simply mastered one simple ritual. They write things down. They review what they've written. They act on what matters. Winners write, losers wait. That's not a slogan. It's a pattern. Winners capture ideas while others hope to remember. They build simple analog systems instead of collecting digital ones. They measure real progress instead of chasing perfect plans. Because the pen, in its quiet simplicity, holds the one advantage technology can't replicate: presence. The pen slows you down just enough to make you thoughtful. It externalizes chaos, transforms overwhelm into clarity, and gives you visible proof that you are, in fact, moving forward. Every page becomes a mirror for your growth. Not a performance, not a metric, but a record of real effort that accumulates into transformation. So before you reach for the next notification or the next shortcut, pause. The reset you've been searching for isn't digital, it's physical. It's the weight of a pen in your hand, the scratch of thought made visible, and the quiet realization that clarity was never out there. It's been waiting here, right where your handwriting begins. You'll know this reset has begun the moment silence starts to feel powerful again. When your mind, once crowded with noise, finally exhales. And for the first time in a long time, you can hear your own thoughts without interruption. That's the feeling of control returning. Not control over everything, but over yourself, your focus, your choices, your next step. As you close this first chapter, look at the pen resting near you. It's small, quiet, ordinary, yet it holds the doorway out of overwhelm. The next page you write isn't just paper, it's a mirror, a compass, and a contract with the person you're becoming. Because every word you choose to write is proof. You're no longer drifting, you're directing. You're no longer waiting for change, you're creating it, one deliberate line at a time. Chapter 2, Life Audit, the truth that changes everything. You think you know where you stand in life. You think you have a pretty good sense of what's working and what isn't. Your career feels stable, maybe even successful. Your relationships are fine, not perfect, but comfortable. Your finances are improving little by little, and you tell yourself that everything is on track. But deep down, you know that what you're really holding on to are assumptions, not awareness. Because fine and good enough are the most dangerous illusions of progress. They sound responsible, even mature, but they quietly block transformation. They let you drift instead of grow. Most people live inside a haze of vague assessments, repeating the same comforting stories about their lives until those stories become invisible walls. They think they know the truth because they can describe their situation in general terms, but general is the enemy of growth. Precision is what changes lives. Yet, we avoid it, not because we're lazy, but because precision forces confrontation. It demands honesty. It makes us face what we've been unwilling to admit, that maybe our current strategies aren't working as well as we pretend they are, that maybe we're not as intentional as we'd like to believe. We all carry a quiet optimism bias that tells us we're doing better than we are, that our habits are stronger, our systems more efficient, our goals more consistent than the evidence shows. Selective memory edits out the failures, the patterns, the repeated mistakes, leaving behind a story we can live with, but not one that helps us evolve. And so, we apply effort without direction. We double down on what's familiar. We treat symptoms instead of causes. And then we wonder why the same problems keep resurfacing. The life audit ends that illusion. It's not a motivational ritual or a feel-good reflection. It's a surgical mirror, one that doesn't flatter, doesn't soothe, and doesn't care about your ego. It reveals what's really happening beneath the story you tell yourself. When you write it down in your own handwriting, everything changes, because what's vague in your mind becomes real on paper. You can no longer hide behind the fog. You see what's working, what isn't, and what you've been pretending to fix. That single page becomes your control panel, your radar for constraint, your accountability mirror. And yes, it's uncomfortable, because comfort and truth rarely live in the same place. We humans are brilliant at building systems that protect us from pain, even the pain of self-awareness. We distract ourselves with small optimizations and call it improvement. We reorganize our workspace instead of resolving our real problems. We spend hours comparing productivity tools, but avoid the one 10-minute conversation that could change the trajectory of our career. We watch videos on communication, but postpone the call that could save a relationship. We love motion because it hides stagnation, but you can't optimize what you won't confront. You can't fix what you won't name. You can't grow from the version of yourself that refuses to tell the truth. That's why most people live their entire lives adjusting symptoms instead of removing the constraint that causes them. The moment you write things down, you interrupt that pattern. You transform fog into form. You give your mind a mirror that doesn't lie. Because when you describe your reality in specific, concrete, measurable terms, something inside you shifts. You stop thinking in feelings and start thinking in facts. You realize how much energy you've wasted pretending not to know what you already know. When you write the truth, clarity replaces confusion, and clarity eliminates friction. And friction, more than failure, is what kills execution. You start to see exactly where your energy leaks. You stop applying pressure in all the wrong places. You stop trying to fix 10 things at once, and finally focus on the one constraint that changes everything else. That's the power of the life audit. It takes what's overwhelming and turns it into something manageable. It turns vague dissatisfaction into a map of solvable problems. It's not about perfection, it's about precision. When you sit down with a pen and draw that single page, you begin to see life not as one tangled mess of chaos, but as an interconnected system with 6 living parts: your work, your health, your finances, your relationships, your learning, and your freedom. They don't operate separately, they breathe together. Weakness in one quietly drags down the others. Strength in one lifts them all. When you see them side by side, you notice patterns that thinking alone can't reveal. You begin to see how your lack of rest bleeds into your creativity, how your poor communication drains your confidence at work, how your stagnation in learning limits your long-term freedom. And in that revelation comes both humility and hope. Humility, because you finally see the truth without excuses. And hope, because once you can name the constraint, you can change it. You stop pretending your problem is time when it's really clarity. You stop saying you need more motivation when you really need direction. You stop mistaking effort for progress. Because effort without clarity is expensive motion. It burns energy but builds nothing. This process doesn't demand perfection or endless effort. It demands honesty. It's uncomfortable at first, like holding a mirror under harsh light. But that discomfort is a form of cleansing. It strips away self-delusion. It shows you where you've been lying to yourself and dares you to do something about it. You'll see the contradictions you've been living with, the goals that cancel each other out, the excuses that have quietly become habits, the beliefs that used to serve you but now hold you back. As you write, you'll notice that vague complaints collapse into concrete evidence. I feel stuck because I've been postponing 3 important conversations for over a month. I'm exhausted because I've slept fewer than 6 hours a night for the past 2 weeks. This is what honesty looks like. Not emotional venting, but documented reality. You might not like what you see, but you'll know exactly what's broken and why. And something powerful happens when you do. The act of naming the truth on paper doesn't just create awareness, it creates accountability. Psychologists call it the commitment effect. Once you put an intention in writing, your brain starts working to make it true. Your identity begins to shift. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries and start becoming someone who follows through. The words on the page become a contract between the person you are and the person you want to be. But you have to be specific. You have to describe success in observable terms. Otherwise, your mind will keep moving the goalposts. Get healthier means nothing. Complete 3 workouts a week for 6 weeks means progress. Communicate better is air. Have one honest 30-minute conversation every Sunday is structure. The difference between intention and commitment is definition. And because reality always resists our plans, you also write the question no one likes to face. If this fails, why? That single sentence is one of the most honest things you'll ever write. It exposes your hidden assumptions before they betray you. It turns blind hope into strategy. Because success isn't just about doing the right thing. It's about anticipating what could stop you from doing it. When you write this way, with no filters, no pretense, no performance, your brain begins to change. It stops chasing endless improvements and starts organizing around what truly matters. You realize that the audit isn't about control, it's about awareness. And awareness doesn't make life easier, but it makes it clearer. You finally understand which actions create movement and which ones just make noise. That's when you see the difference between people who grow and people who stay stuck. The ones who grow are not always smarter, faster, or luckier. They're simply more honest with themselves. They tell the truth on paper, even when it hurts. They face the data instead of the drama. They prefer the pain of awareness to the comfort of confusion. And because they measure what matters, they improve what matters. The life audit gives you that power, but it only works when you use it consistently. Once you've written it, it becomes a living document, something you return to again and again, not a one-time exercise you forget about. Every week, you review it. You adjust, update, refine. You catch small drifts before they become big detours. You celebrate progress you might have otherwise dismissed. You stay connected to the direction you've chosen instead of getting swallowed by the noise of daily urgency. You'll find that the more you update your audit, the more it updates you. You begin to anticipate patterns before they repeat. You start making decisions faster because you can see the trade-offs clearly. You stop wasting time fixing what's already fine and focus on what truly needs your attention. And each time you revisit that page, you're reminded of who you're becoming. Yes, it will be uncomfortable. Yes, you'll have to admit some painful truths about your work, your relationships, your habits, your boundaries. You'll have to admit that some of your goals compete with each other, that some of your excuses are polished lies, and that some of your problems exist because they're familiar, not because they're unsolvable. But discomfort is not the enemy, it's the entry point to freedom. Because confusion might keep you safe, but it also keeps you small. Truth might sting, but it also sets you free. The life audit doesn't demand perfection, it demands precision. It doesn't require massive time, it gives time back. It doesn't drain your energy, it redirects it. Because once you can see your life clearly, you stop running in circles. You begin to move forward with calm conviction. So when you sit with that blank page, remember this, it's not just a page. It's a mirror that reveals who you are and a blueprint for who you can become. Write until the truth appears, and when it does, don't look away. Because that's the moment the fog lifts. That's the moment your life stops drifting and starts aligning. And once you've seen your reality in ink, once you've named what's true and what's possible, you'll never be able to unsee it again. That's when real change begins. The kind that doesn't fade, the kind that compounds quietly in the background of your days, reshaping the way you think, act, and live. Because before you can design a new future, you must confront your present. And that begins right here, on one honest, handwritten page. You'll know your audit is complete, not when everything looks perfect, but when the page in front of you finally feels real. You'll feel it, a quiet weight in your chest, a moment of stillness where you stop explaining, stop justifying, and simply see. That's the power of truth on paper. It doesn't shout. It doesn't flatter. It just shows you where you are and whispers, "Now, what will you do with it?" And that's where your next evolution begins. Not with another burst of motivation, but with space. The kind of mental space you can only create when you've emptied the noise, cleared the static, and given your thoughts room to breathe again. Because clarity without quiet is impossible. In the next chapter, you'll learn a simple yet radical practice, a 12-minute ritual that clears your mind like nothing else can. It's the reset your brain has been craving, a technique so ordinary you might overlook it, but so powerful it can change how you think, how you plan, and how you feel every single day. Chapter 3, Freewriting, the 12-minute reset. Your mind is running like a machine that never sleeps. Programs everywhere, spinning, flashing, competing for space. Background noise you've grown so used to that you barely notice it anymore. While you're trying to focus on your work, another part of you is replaying a conversation that didn't go well. While you're sitting in a meeting, another corner of your mind is already worrying about an unfinished project, an unpaid bill, a message you should have replied to. And somewhere beneath all of that, tiny loops of song lyrics, old memories, and stray thoughts keep skipping endlessly, like a record that never stops spinning. It's invisible, but it's exhausting. Every single loop burns energy, not physical, but mental, and that energy never returns. You wake up already carrying it, go through your day with it humming beneath the surface, and fall asleep with it still running, back louder than you think. Most people don't even realize that their exhaustion isn't from doing too much, it's from thinking too much, without resolution. They live inside their own noise, mistaking the mental static for thought. But real thinking requires silence. Real clarity requires space. You can't make good decisions from a cluttered mind any more than you can cook a perfect meal in a messy kitchen. You can't build meaningful work when every corner of your attention is crowded by what's unfinished, unresolved, or unspoken. But there's a way to stop it. There's a way to reset your mind, not by adding more systems, but by releasing the ones that weigh you down. It takes only 12 minutes. 12 minutes of truth, 12 minutes of movement, 12 minutes of space. That's the ritual of freewriting, the simplest, most underestimated reset for the modern mind. Freewriting is not journaling. It's not reflection or gratitude or goal setting. It's not a practice of looking back or planning ahead. It's simply this, emptying the noise. You sit with a pen and let every thought spill onto the page, unfiltered, unedited, uncensored. You don't organize. You don't pause. You don't worry about whether it makes sense. You just write and write and write, faster than your mind can judge you. At first, it feels messy, uncomfortable, even pointless. You'll start with the small things, the errands, the frustrations, the random thoughts about your day. But slowly, something starts to shift. Beneath the surface chatter, the deeper voice, the one you rarely hear, begins to emerge. It speaks in fragments at first, quiet and hesitant, then clearer, fuller, steadier. It begins to show you what's really bothering you, what's really exciting you, what's been hiding beneath all that mental clutter. This isn't about writing beautifully. In fact, most of what you write will never be worth reading again. That's the point. You're not writing to remember, you're writing to release. The page becomes your mental drain, catching the excess thoughts so your mind doesn't have to. What looks like chaos on paper becomes peace in your head. There's a reason this works, and it's not magic. When you write by hand, your brain slows down just enough for thought to become visible. The movement of ink across paper activates the parts of your mind responsible for pattern recognition and emotional regulation. In other words, the act of writing doesn't just reflect thinking, it creates better thinking. You begin to access deeper levels of association, creativity, and emotional clarity that typing can never reach. The friction between pen and page is not a flaw, it's the feature that makes it real. You might resist this at first. You'll think it sounds too simple, too quiet to be powerful. But simplicity is where truth hides. The most profound tools in life don't shout, they whisper. They work not because they impress you, but because they remind your brain how to breathe again. So imagine this. You wake up tomorrow, and before you open your phone, before the day floods in, you take 12 minutes to empty everything inside your head. You let the pen move faster than your thoughts. You write about the argument you're avoiding, the decision you're unsure about, the worry that's been living rent-free in your chest. You write about nothing, about everything, about whatever refuses to stay quiet. And somewhere between the 7th and the 10th minute, something happens. You start to hear your real voice. Not the voice trained to sound reasonable, not the one rehearsed for other people, but the raw, unfiltered voice that says what it actually means. The one that knows what it wants, the one that sees what you've been missing. By the time the timer rings, your page is messy, full of sentences that run together, incomplete thoughts, scribbles, arrows, half ideas. But what you'll feel is not confusion. You'll feel lighter. You'll feel clear. Because your brain has finally done what it's been begging to do: release. You'll look back at that page and see patterns you didn't expect. Repeated phrases, words that carry emotion, thoughts that connect to each other like constellations. And out of that mess, you'll notice one line that matters, one sentence that stands out, one truth that feels alive. That's your signal. That's the piece that deserves action. Because clarity without movement fades fast. Once you see what matters, you act on it. Maybe it's one call you need to make, one decision you need to stop postponing, one conversation you need to begin. You don't wait for motivation, you move. That's how free writing turns thought into momentum. Over time, these 12-minute sessions become more than a habit. They become a sanctuary, a place where you can go to untangle anything. You'll begin to notice that thinking itself feels different. Decisions come faster, focus feels easier. Creativity flows in directions it never has before. Because you've cleared the runway, you've stopped trying to think over the noise and started clearing the noise before you think. Some days, your free writing will feel profound. You'll fill pages with insight and emotion that surprises you. Other days, it will feel dull, even mechanical. But both kinds of sessions matter. The profound ones will realign your direction. The dull ones will protect your mental balance. One clears the fog, the other prevents it from returning. You don't need to analyze or archive what you write. Most of it can be thrown away. What matters is that it existed, that you made space for thought to move through you instead of stagnating inside you. Because the truth is, every thought you leave unprocessed becomes emotional residue, weight you carry unknowingly. Free writing is how you set that weight down. It's how you return to the present moment, not through meditation, not through discipline, but through movement. The pen moves and your mind follows. It becomes a dance between chaos and calm. And as you repeat it day after day, something fundamental inside you changes. You become less reactive, more responsive, less anxious, more aware. You begin to notice when your mind starts to fill again, and you know exactly what to do. Empty it. Consistency matters more than perfection. The power is not in the quality of your words, but in the rhythm of your return. Every session you complete is a small act of self-leadership, proof that you refuse to let noise define your day. You start to trust your ability to reset yourself anytime, anywhere, with nothing but a pen and 12 minutes of honesty. And soon, you'll start noticing the ripple effects in every part of your life. You'll enter conversations with more composure because your mind is already decluttered. You'll make faster choices because you've trained your brain to separate noise from truth. You'll recover from setbacks faster because you've built a system that releases emotional buildup instead of hoarding it. That's what makes this practice so radical. Not its complexity, but its simplicity. You don't need a course, an app, or a subscription. You just need to stop running from yourself long enough to listen. You'll realize that your brain isn't your enemy. It's just overloaded. And once you give it space to breathe, it starts working for you again, sharper, calmer, clearer than ever before. You may think you don't have time for 12 minutes, but here's the truth. You're already spending more than that being distracted. You lose far more time to mental noise than you ever will to silence. 12 minutes of free writing isn't a luxury. It's maintenance. It's the cost of clarity. And when you understand that, you stop waiting for peace to appear and start creating it. You begin each day lighter. You make decisions without second guessing. You walk into challenges without the fog of overthinking. You lead, not react. You create, not chase. That's what this simple ritual gives you. Control over the only thing that truly matters, your mind. Because once you can clear your mind on command, you can handle anything. You'll find, too, that this daily release doesn't just change how you think, it changes how you feel. It pulls the pressure valve on your emotions. It lets you process anger before it explodes, grief before it hardens, joy before it fades. You begin to live with more emotional bandwidth, more mental energy, more space for what's real. Free writing is not a productivity trick. It's an act of psychological hygiene. It's how you clean the lens through which you see your life. And the clearer that lens becomes, the better everything else works. Your creativity, your relationships, your choices, your peace. So tomorrow, when the noise begins again, don't fight it. Don't try to suppress it. Pick up the pen. Give your thoughts a place to go. Let them spill, flow, and empty until the silence underneath begins to rise again. That silence is not emptiness. It's where your best ideas live. It's where focus begins. It's where the next version of you starts to form. And when you reach that still point, that quiet after the storm, you'll understand something profound. Your mind was never broken. It was just full. It didn't need fixing. It needed clearing. Because the truth is, the world doesn't reward the busiest mind. It rewards the clearest one. And now that your head is clear, it's time to aim that clarity where it matters most. The next chapter will show you how to do that, how to harness focus, filter noise, and channel your renewed energy into the few priorities that truly move your life forward. When the pen finally slows and the page falls still, you might look at what you've written and see nothing remarkable. No great insight, no perfect phrase, just a page covered in scattered lines and restless thoughts. But look closer. What you're really seeing is the weight you've been carrying, finally outside of you. Every word is a small release. Every sentence, a breath you didn't know you were holding. That's the quiet power of this ritual. It doesn't make life simpler. It makes it clearer. It teaches you that peace isn't found in silence. It's created through movement. You write, and somewhere between the chaos and the calm, the fog begins to lift. And in that small, sacred pause after the ink dries, you begin to hear something new. Not the noise of the world, but the sound of your own mind, steady, alive, ready to lead again. You've learned to clear the storm. Next, you'll learn how to navigate the calm, with precision, with purpose, and with the full power of a mind that finally feels like your own again. Chapter 4. The Splurge List. Empty your head before it breaks you. You don't realize it yet, but you're running out of mental space. Every unfinished task, every message you meant to answer, every thought you told yourself you'd remember later, they're all still in there, taking up room, eating away at your focus. Your brain, right now, is like a desk covered in scraps of paper and half-open folders. You think you're managing it, but really, you're just surviving the clutter. And here's the quiet warning most people never hear until it's too late. The human mind can't run on overload forever. What you don't release eventually breaks you. That's what this chapter is about. The art of emptying your mental clutter before it empties you. Because overwhelm doesn't always announce itself. It creeps in quietly. It hides behind small responsibilities, small promises, small delays. You keep adding, one reminder here, one obligation there, until you wake up one day and realize you can't think straight anymore. You're tired before you begin. You can't rest even when you stop. The noise never turns off. It isn't weakness, it's wiring. The human brain wasn't designed to store everything you need to remember. It's built for problem solving, not storage. Yet we treat it like a hard drive, forcing it to keep track of hundreds of unfinished loops. That's why you feel scattered even when your day looks simple. Your brain is still rehearsing everything that's incomplete. Every call you meant to make, every idea you didn't write down, every plan still floating in limbo. Psychologists call this the Zeigarnik effect, the tendency of the mind to keep unfinished business alive until it's closed. It's meant to protect you from forgetting, but in the modern world, it does the opposite. It drowns you in memory. You think you're multitasking, but you're really multi-remembering. And memory is expensive. Every loop open in your head steals a fraction of your cognitive power. Every unmade decision drains a little more energy. You end the day mentally exhausted, not from what you did, but from what you tried to hold on to. It's not time that burns you out. It's the weight of what you never release. That's why you need a ritual to offload your mind, one that's simple enough to repeat every day, powerful enough to change how you think, and fast enough to actually do. The Splurge list is that ritual. It's not another productivity technique. It's a mental reset, a way to dump the noise, clear the cache, and start again with a brain that can finally breathe. Here's how it works in spirit, and it starts with honesty. For just a few minutes, you stop pretending you're managing everything in your head. You take a pen and you start writing down everything that's been living rent-free in your mind. Every task, every unfinished plan, every worry, every detail you've been rehearsing. You don't filter, you don't organize, you don't judge. You just spill it. You let the mess out. And something extraordinary happens. The moment those thoughts hit paper, they stop haunting you. The brain recognizes that the information is now stored somewhere safe. The rehearsal stops. The mental tabs begin to close. You feel it. A lightness you can't explain, a calm that spreads like quiet after a storm. You didn't fix anything yet, but suddenly you can breathe again. That's what happens when you make the invisible visible. But this practice isn't just about relief. It's about clarity. Because once you see everything you've been carrying, you can finally decide what deserves to stay. The page becomes a mirror, one that doesn't flatter, one that forces you to face the truth about how you spend your energy. You start to notice how much of what you track daily doesn't actually move your life forward. You begin to see that most of what's been weighing you down isn't important. It's noise disguised as responsibility. This is where the Splurge list becomes something more than a brain dump. It becomes a declaration of priorities. You look at what you've written and ask yourself, quietly but seriously, does this truly deserve space in my life? Not every task earns a yes. In fact, many don't. Some are obligations you inherited, not ones you chose. Some are goals you've outgrown but never erased. Some are distractions dressed as duty. When you see them written out, it's impossible to lie to yourself anymore. And this is where the courage comes in. Because clarity without courage changes nothing. You begin letting go. You cross out what doesn't matter. You delete the noise. You release yourself from the idea that doing more means being better. Every line you strike through is a small act of freedom, a reminder that your value doesn't come from volume, it comes from direction. The goal isn't to do everything, it's to do the right things and stop carrying the rest. Most people struggle with this part. They cling to every item as if letting go means failure. But the truth is, letting go is leadership. It's the decision to protect your focus, to respect your energy, to stop scattering yourself across 100 small obligations and start showing up fully for the few that matter. You'll find that every unnecessary task you release gives strength to the ones that remain. Every time you delete something unworthy, the rest of your life runs smoother. That's the quiet power of this ritual. It's not about managing time, it's about managing attention. It's about teaching your brain that not everything deserves rehearsal. Not everything deserves space. Not everything deserves you. Do this often enough, and the shift becomes visible. You begin to think faster, decide clearer, rest deeper. You stop spending half your mental energy keeping track of things you'll never do. The chaos that used to live in your head becomes a few clean lines on paper. And those few lines are manageable. You can act on them. You can finish them. You can finally move forward. 5 minutes, that's all it takes. 5 minutes to unload, to sort, to breathe. You'll start noticing that your day feels different afterward. Work feels easier, focus comes quicker, and the background tension you thought was just life starts to disappear. Because the mind you've freed now has room to think deeply again. Of course, some days you'll resist the process. You'll tell yourself you don't need it, that you can keep it all in your head. But that's the trap, the one that leads straight back to clutter. The truth is, you can't think clearly about your future if you're still mentally babysitting your past. You can't plan your next move while you're holding on to 20 unfinished ones. The Splurge list resets all of that. It's how you step out of mental survival mode and back into creation mode. It's how you stop being a manager of chaos and start being a builder of clarity. And you'll notice something fascinating once you make this a habit. The things you capture every day begin to repeat. The same small tasks, the same worries, the same ideas will show up again and again. That repetition is a message. It's your life showing you the friction points that need fixing, the patterns that need attention. The Splurge list doesn't just clear your mind, it reveals your truth. Every time you write, you're not just dumping thoughts, you're mapping your patterns. You're learning where you avoid action, where you overcommit, where you hold on to things that no longer belong. And awareness always precedes change. So don't underestimate this small ritual. Its simplicity is its power. Because in a world addicted to speed, the ability to pause, to clear, to choose, that's a form of rebellion. 5 minutes of honesty with yourself can save you from weeks of mental chaos. Each time you sit with the page, remember this. The goal is not perfection, it's peace. The value is not in how much you write, it's in what you release. You're not making a list, you're letting go of a burden. And when you're done, when you draw that last line across the page, you'll feel it. The quiet lightness of a mind that's no longer carrying more than it should. The hum of unfinished business fades into silence. You stand up, breathe, and realize you're finally here, fully present, clear, and capable again. That's what this chapter is about. Remembering that your brain isn't a storage unit, it's a creative instrument. It works best when it's free, focused, and light. The Splurge list gives it that freedom, because if you don't empty your mind regularly, your mind will empty you. And now that you've learned to release what doesn't belong, it's time to master the discipline of focus, the art of doing less, better. Sometimes the most dangerous weight isn't what you lift with your hands, but what you never set down in your mind. Every undone task, every silent worry, every unmade decision, they build like dust on the soul until you can't tell if you're tired from life or just from holding too much of it. But then comes this small, almost ordinary ritual. A few minutes, a pen, a page, and something inside unclenches. The thoughts that once swarmed like noise begin to settle like snow. The page doesn't solve your problems, but it saves you from drowning in them. It gives your mind a floor to stand on again. And when the ink dries, you realize something that changes everything. Clarity doesn't arrive when life becomes simple. It arrives when you stop trying to carry it all. The next chapter will reveal a single rule that transforms scattered effort into unstoppable progress, a small number that defines the difference between those who stay busy and those who actually build momentum. Chapter 5, The Rule of 3, When Doing More Destroys What Matters. Too many goals will ruin you, not because ambition is bad, but because unfiltered ambition is noise disguised as purpose. Every morning, countless people wake up carrying a silent delusion, the belief that if they do more, they will become more. They fill their days with lists so long they already guarantee failure. They think activity equals progress. They think exhaustion equals worth. And slowly, without realizing it, they trade the sharpness of their focus for the blur of constant effort. That's the hidden cost of doing too much. It makes you forget what matters. The mind begins to scatter. Decisions become shallow, and every task starts to feel equally urgent. You end up living in a storm of unfinished beginnings where nothing ever feels done and nothing ever feels enough. You end your day heavy, not because you worked too little, but because you tried to hold everything. The truth is, you don't need another strategy. You don't need a better planner or a stricter schedule. You need a limit. Because limits don't weaken discipline, they create it. There is one number that separates those who progress from those who drown in endless motion. It's not 10, it's not 7, it's not 5, it's 3. 3 decisive completions a day, that's all. 3 deliberate moves that actually shift your world forward. That's not minimalism, that's mastery. Most people never find this rhythm. They fill their hours with noise, measuring their worth by quantity instead of consequence. They chase the feeling of progress instead of the reality of it. They plan 15 things, finish 3, and then punish themselves for failing at the 12 that never mattered. And that cycle repeats every day, every week, every year, until their ambition burns itself into frustration. But high performers know a different truth. Focus is a subtractive skill. The fewer things you give your energy to, the more power each one receives. When you shrink your list, you don't lose potential. You gain precision. 3 tasks might sound small, but only until you realize how rare completion has become in a world addicted to starting. Your mind works best when it knows what matters most. When you choose only 3, you give yourself permission to finish, not just begin. You transform scattered effort into momentum you can feel. This is the paradox of productive constraint. The smaller the frame, the sharper the focus. When you stop trying to hold everything, you can finally hold something with both hands. Think of your attention like light. Spread it too wide, and it barely illuminates the surface. Narrow it, and it cuts through darkness like a blade. That's what the rule of 3 does. It narrows the beam. Each morning, when you sit down to decide your 3, you're making a quiet but powerful declaration. I can't do everything, but I will do what matters. You name your first, the task that moves the needle, the one you usually avoid because it feels too big. You give it the best part of your energy, the clean hours before the world intrudes. Then you follow it with a small victory, something you can complete quickly to keep the rhythm of progress alive. Finally, you close with creative or relational work, the kind that deepens connection or brings renewal instead of depletion. Hard, quick, creative. That's the heartbeat of sustainable performance. This rhythm works not because it's perfect, but because it's human. It respects the rise and fall of your energy instead of fighting against it. It honors the truth that willpower isn't infinite and attention isn't cheap. And the beauty of this system lies in its visible simplicity. You can look at your day and see your progress. 3 clear check marks, 3 points of closure, 3 reasons to stop feeling like you're always behind. That's the psychology of completion, the mental satisfaction that fuels consistency. Progress becomes tangible, not abstract. But this simplicity requires defense. The world will not respect your focus unless you do. Your calendar will tempt you with meetings. Your phone will whisper distractions. The requests of others will press in until you surrender your attention to their urgency. Every force in modern life is designed to scatter you, so you must guard your 3-like territory. Protect your focus the way a craftsman protects his tools, fiercely, without apology. Block your time before the world claims it. Say no without explanation. Turn off what doesn't serve your priorities, not out of arrogance, but out of respect for your energy, your mission, your sanity. Focus, once fractured, doesn't return easily. That's why the rule of 3 isn't a time management trick. It's a survival code. It's the art of staying whole in a world built to fragment you. At the end of each day, you look back at your 3. You mark what's done, what's moved, what's stuck. You write a single sentence, not about success or failure, but about truth. Why did this work? Why didn't it? Over time, those notes reveal patterns. You learn how long things actually take. You notice when you underestimate effort or let noise slip through. Slowly, you stop lying to yourself about your capacity. You become realistic, not smaller, but sharper. And that's when the magic compounds. Because the rule of 3 isn't about today, it's about rhythm. 3 meaningful completions a day turn into 15 a week, 60 a month, hundreds across a year. Each one builds on the last like bricks in a wall. You stop wondering if you're progressing. You can see it. The strangest part? Life starts to feel calmer, simpler. You stop rushing, you stop juggling. You begin each morning with clarity and end each evening with closure. You no longer measure your days by exhaustion, but by completion. You stop needing to prove how hard you work because your results speak for you. This discipline changes more than your productivity. It changes your identity. You stop being the person who's always trying. You become the person who finishes. That shift in self-perception, from busy to effective, transforms everything. Confidence returns. Doubt quiets. You trust yourself again because you keep your own word. And the rule of 3 does something else most systems never achieve. It restores your peace. You no longer go to bed with the gnawing feeling of unfinished chaos. You rest knowing that you moved what mattered most. And when you wake, you begin again, not chasing everything, but choosing 3 things that count. This isn't minimalism for its own sake. It's strategic focus. It's the discipline of choosing depth over distraction, substance over noise. Because mastery doesn't belong to those who do the most. It belongs to those who finish the few things that matter most. So, tomorrow, when your mind starts racing, when the temptation to pile on more returns, pause. Ask yourself one question. If I could only finish 3 things today, which ones would prove this day was worth it? That question, answered honestly, can change your life. Because clarity is not the opposite of ambition. It's what keeps ambition alive long enough to mean something. And when you learn to live this way, 3 completions at a time, you stop feeling like you're chasing time and start feeling like you're directing it. You stop measuring days by exhaustion and start measuring them by momentum. You stop drowning in activity and start rising in intention. That is the quiet mastery behind the rule of 3. The power to decide, the discipline to finish, and the peace that follows when you finally stop trying to do everything. And once your days take this form, simple, focused, complete, you'll begin to notice something else happening beneath the surface. The more space you create through focus, the more ideas begin to arrive. Insights appear, patterns connect, creativity wakes up again. But ideas, like opportunities, fade if you don't catch them. When you finally start living by 3s, something strange happens. Time slows down. The noise fades. The constant rush to do more loses its grip. What's left is presence, sharp, deliberate, alive. You stop sprinting through your life and start steering it. 3 things done with full focus begin to outweigh 30 done half awake. That's the quiet rebellion hidden inside this rule. Restraint becomes your power. You no longer chase every possibility. You choose the ones worth finishing. And when your world narrows to what truly matters, ideas begin to return. Fresh, bold, unexpected. The next chapter will show you how to do just that, how to build a living system that captures every spark before it disappears, turning random inspiration into the fuel for lasting innovation. Chapter 6. The Idea Bank, how to stop losing the genius you already have. Every person you admire, every thinker, creator, or leader who seems endlessly inventive shares one secret most people overlook. They don't have more ideas than you. They just lose fewer. That's the quiet warning of this chapter. You are not short on creativity. You are bleeding it away. Each day, your mind generates small flashes of brilliance, tiny insights, clever connections, flashes of intuition, and most of them vanish before you ever have the chance to see what they could become. You're not careless. You're just distracted. The modern world is built to erase what the mind creates. You have thoughts worth millions, and they dissolve in minutes, buried beneath pings, headlines, and noise. You tell yourself you'll remember the great idea that hit you on the commute, or the perfect phrase that came to you in the shower, or the bold strategy that formed just before sleep. But you don't. And when you try to reconstruct it later, all you find is a faint echo, the memory of having had something brilliant, but not the brilliance itself. That's the hidden cost of life, lived without a system for remembering what matters. You are not just forgetting random thoughts. You are losing leverage, ideas that could have saved time, solved problems, or changed direction. You are training your brain to waste genius. Because the brain is not a vault. It is a sieve, built to process, not preserve. The longer you trust it to hold your best ideas, the faster you'll lose them. But this loss isn't inevitable. Creativity doesn't have to be an accident. Inspiration doesn't have to be a lucky strike that before you can grab it. You can build a system that catches your own brilliance before it fades. A vault for your genius that turns what's fleeting into something permanent. That system is called the Idea Bank. It's not digital. It's not complex. It doesn't depend on motivation, technology, or mood. It's built on the oldest creative tool in existence: paper, pen, and the decision to care about your own thoughts. Here's why it works. Every time you capture an idea, no matter how small, you send a signal to your subconscious. This matters. And your mind listens. It begins to surface more connections, more patterns, more insights. The creative well doesn't run dry. It just stops offering treasures to someone who doesn't protect them. When you start catching your ideas, you retrain your brain to bring you more. Think of the idea bank as a mental savings account. Each thought you record becomes a deposit, compounding quietly in the background. At first, it feels small, a few lines on paper. But with time, those fragments begin to connect. You'll flip back through the pages and see something extraordinary. Your own intelligence, in motion, building upon itself. The system is simple. You designate a section of your notebook, the idea bank, and every time a thought strikes, you give it one line. No paragraphs, no perfection, just a single sharp capture of what you don't want to lose. Add a quick tag: story, growth, strategy, health, relationship. It doesn't matter what words you use, only that you use them consistently. This simplicity is what makes the system work in real time. Because when inspiration strikes, you don't have the luxury of pausing to think about structure. You have seconds before it's gone. A one-line capture keeps the gate open. You don't need to know whether the idea is good. That's judgment, and judgment kills flow. Capture first, evaluate later. The evaluation happens once a week, your review ritual. 20 quiet minutes where you look back through the ideas you've caught. This is where raw material becomes insight. You start to see the architecture of your own mind, recurring themes, repeating patterns, unfinished connections. You star the few that seem alive, the ones that make your pulse quicken. You circle one to develop. You write the smallest possible next step beside it. Draft outline. Call Jason. Research market. Sketch design. That single step transforms an idea from thought to movement. It closes the gap between inspiration and implementation, a gap where most ideas die. Over time, your idea bank begins to take shape as more than a notebook. It becomes a mirror of your evolution, a physical record of how you think, what excites you, and where your curiosity consistently returns. You'll notice that some thoughts reappear months apart, whispering at you from different directions. That's not coincidence. That's your mind showing you where your next leap is waiting. And something else begins to happen. Serendipity stops being luck. It becomes structure. Because the more ideas you catch, the more likely two random thoughts will collide into something new. Innovation is rarely born from a single lightning strike. It's born from the collision of two small sparks caught at the right time. That's the compound effect of the idea bank. What once felt like scattered inspiration becomes a web of clarity. What once seemed random becomes revelation. But for this vault to keep working, it has to stay simple. The moment you turn it into a system, it starts to suffocate under its own weight. Don't build elaborate categories or digital spreadsheets. Don't try to turn it into art. Keep it fast, raw, and imperfect. The page is a net, not a museum. Its purpose is to catch, not to impress. The biggest mistake people make is either catching everything or catching nothing. Some flood their notebooks with every passing thought until the gold gets buried in noise. Others hold out for perfect ideas that never arrive. The balance is this: catch what sparks, skip what's empty. The difference is usually felt, not reasoned. And never skip the weekly review. That's where you turn potential into direction. Without it, your notebook becomes a graveyard of forgotten intentions. With it, it becomes a living intelligence system, a creative compass you can trust. Give this process a few months, and you'll notice the shift. You'll start thinking differently, not because your brain has changed, but because your awareness has. You'll stop dismissing passing thoughts as trivial. You'll start noticing how many opportunities appear when you simply have a place to put them. You'll realize that creativity was never a gift you lacked. It was a habit you never built. Soon, your idea bank will become the quiet engine behind everything you do. Projects will emerge faster. Insights will connect more easily. You'll be able to trace breakthroughs back to moments you might have forgotten. A sentence written on a random Tuesday that became the seed for something extraordinary. That's the beauty of the system. It doesn't just save ideas. It saves potential. It saves you from losing the next version of who you could become. And when others wonder how you always seem to have something original to say, you'll know the truth. You've simply stopped throwing your genius away. Some ideas are meant to be built. Others are meant to be shared. But every idea, no matter how brilliant, dies in isolation. The pages of your idea bank may hold genius, but genius without connection is just ink on paper. Because the truth is, no great creation has ever lived alone. Every breakthrough, every movement, every transformation was carried forward by people, by trust, by shared purpose, by words that reached another heart at the right time. And that's where your next evolution begins. In the following chapter, you'll rediscover an almost forgotten practice. A quiet, human art that turns ideas into influence and inspiration into impact. It doesn't require power, or technology, or endless effort. Only sincerity, a pen, and a few lines written with intention, the kind of words that build bridges instead of noise. Chapter 7. Gratitude Notes, the smallest effort with the longest echo. The relationships that determine your future rarely end because of conflict. They fade because of silence. Not anger, not betrayal, just neglect. In a world that celebrates speed, efficiency, and constant output, we've forgotten one of the simplest truths about human connection. People remember who made them feel seen. They remember sincerity, not scale. And that's the quiet danger of this age. The faster we communicate, the less we connect. That's where this chapter begins, with a warning. If you let gratitude become digital, it will lose its power. Every time you send a quick thanks or a heart emoji, you're making a small deposit in convenience, but withdrawing from meaning. You're saying thank you, but what they're hearing is next. It's not your fault. Everyone does it. We've built a world where appreciation is measured in seconds, not sincerity. But buried inside that loss is an incredible opportunity. Because when everyone else takes the easy route, even a small act of effort stands out like gold. A handwritten note, 3 sentences on paper, written with care, has become almost revolutionary. It's so rare that it feels intimate, almost sacred. It slows time in a world that never stops moving. And in those few moments when pen touches paper, something human returns. The kind of quiet, deliberate attention that technology can't replicate. Most people think of gratitude as something soft or sentimental. It's not. Gratitude is strategic empathy. It's the habit of remembering who helped you, who opened doors, who made your path a little easier, and choosing to invest back into that connection. Gratitude doesn't just strengthen relationships, it compounds them. And the rarest, most effective way to express it isn't a text or an email or a comment under a post. It's a note, a real one. Imagine this. You open your mailbox and among the bills and advertisements sits an envelope with your name handwritten on it. Inside, 3 simple lines, someone thanking you for your help, mentioning exactly how it mattered, and wishing you well. No ask, no agenda. Just a small proof that your effort didn't go unnoticed. How would that make you feel? That feeling is your greatest networking advantage, one most people will never use. Because the truth is, gratitude is rare, not because it's hard, but because it requires slowness. It demands that you pause long enough to reflect. And that pause in itself is a radical act in a world that rewards the fast and forgetful. Handwritten notes stand apart because they carry proof of effort. They show intention in every curve of ink, every imperfect letter. They whisper, "You were worth slowing down for." And in a culture obsessed with automation, that whisper cuts through the noise louder than any shout. This isn't about being polite. It's about being unforgettable. A simple note, done right, becomes emotional architecture. It builds trust, loyalty, and goodwill that no digital tactic can buy. And all it takes is 3 sentences. The first one anchors gratitude in something specific. Not "thanks for everything," but "thank you for connecting me to your colleague last week." Or "thank you for your honest feedback during my presentation." Specificity proves presence, that you weren't just being courteous, you were paying attention. The second sentence explains why it mattered. Most people never do this, and it's where meaning lives. "Your advice helped me fix an issue that's been slowing my team down. That introduction opened a door I'd been knocking on for months." The explanation turns politeness into emotion, and emotion is what people remember. The third sentence looks forward, a wish, a blessing, or a promise without obligation. "Wishing you success with the new project. I hope our paths cross again soon. Let me know if I can ever return the favor." That final line completes the circle. Appreciation without agenda, connection without pressure. 3 lines, 90 seconds. A gesture that might outlive the year. The effect isn't immediate, but it's powerful. One note is kind. 52 notes a year is reputation. Over time, these moments of appreciation begin to form an invisible network, a web of goodwill that grows stronger every time you pick up the pen. People start remembering you differently. They answer your calls faster, speak your name in rooms you're not in, think of you when opportunities arise. You become the person associated with gratitude, reliability, sincerity, and that is a reputation more valuable than any credential. The beauty of this practice is that it doesn't just change others, it changes you. It teaches you to notice, to pay attention to small kindnesses, to see the invisible labor of those around you, the colleague who made a late edit, the friend who listened when you needed it, the stranger who showed unusual grace. When you start writing gratitude notes, you stop living as though you're self-made. You start remembering that every step you've taken was supported by others. That awareness builds humility, and humility attracts opportunity. The hardest part is starting. You'll tell yourself you don't have time. You'll worry about what to say or how it will sound. You'll wonder if it's too awkward, too late, too small to matter. But here's the truth. Nobody forgets being thanked. You might forget to send it, but they'll never forget receiving it. Keep your tools visible. Paper, envelopes, stamps, pen. The fewer steps between thought and action, the more likely you are to follow through. Make it a ritual, not a task. 10 minutes every Friday. Write one note before you close your week. The timing is perfect. Reflection meets closure. And never tie gratitude to gain. The moment you write, hoping for something in return, you've diluted the purity that makes it powerful. Appreciation is strongest when it expects nothing. Over months, you'll begin to feel the compound effect. Your network grows warmer. Your name begins to travel without you. People start returning kindness in ways you couldn't have planned, not because they owe you, but because you made them feel valued. That's how goodwill multiplies, slowly, invisibly, until one day you realize your success isn't standing on your effort alone, but on the shoulders of relationships you've quietly strengthened along the way. Gratitude is not weakness. It's leverage built on humanity. It's the one thing that can't be automated, optimized, or scaled because it must be felt to exist. And when you learn to write that feeling down, 3 sentences at a time, you're not just saying thank you. You're saying, I remember, I care, I value what we share. Those are the words that echo longest in a world that forgets too easily. When you live with this kind of gratitude, something shifts quietly inside you. You stop chasing recognition and start creating it. The noise of competition fades, replaced by a deeper rhythm, the calm strength of someone who knows they've built real connection in a world obsessed with transaction. Every handwritten note becomes a promise to yourself that no success will make you forget who helped you rise, and no speed will make you too busy to say thank you. And soon, you'll realize gratitude isn't just a feeling, it's a strategy for living with integrity. And for being remembered long after the moment has passed. Because in the end, ink lasts longer than intention. The next chapter uncovers the hidden power of reflection, how to track, measure, and truly see the progress you're making so that gratitude isn't just felt, but proven. Chapter 8, Done List. You might not realize it, but you've been forgetting yourself. Not who you are, but who you've been becoming. It's a subtle erosion, the kind that doesn't announce itself with drama or loss, but creeps in quietly between one busy day and the next. You wake up with purpose, you move through your routines, you fight your fires, you check your messages, you chase the next task. And somehow, by the time night arrives, all you can remember are the things left undone. It's a strange blindness that steals from even the most driven minds, the inability to see our own progress. We've become experts at remembering our failures and amateurs at remembering our wins. Most people don't notice it happening. They just feel the symptoms, the fatigue that never fully goes away, the sense of always falling behind, the quiet guilt that hums underneath every evening reflection. You might sit there at the end of your day, staring at your unfinished list and whisper to yourself that you should have done more. And in that whisper, you forget everything you actually did. You forget the small victories that deserve to be honored. You forget that progress doesn't always look like a finish line. Sometimes it's just the quiet discipline of showing up. This kind of forgetting is not a failure of memory. It's a failure of attention. The human mind wasn't built to celebrate. It was built to survive. Your brain is hardwired to spot danger, error, and incompletion because your ancestors' lives depended on it. The rustle in the dark mattered more than the sunset. The one missing piece of food mattered more than the feast already eaten. And that same survival mechanism now sabotages your peace. It makes you notice the single email you missed, but not the 20 that you answered with care. It makes you dwell on the one awkward moment in a meeting, not the hours of competence and calm that surrounded it. It makes you define yourself, not by your results, but by your unfinished business. That's why, even when you've worked hard, you can still feel like you've done nothing. You lie in bed, replaying moments where you fell short, while your accomplishments fade like distant echoes. You carry the weight of what's undone, never realizing that it's crushing the joy of what's been completed. You're not lazy or ungrateful or undisciplined. You're just measuring your life with the wrong instrument. The truth is, most people are not running out of time. They're running out of evidence. Evidence that they're actually moving forward. Evidence that their effort matters. Evidence that they're capable of finishing what they start. And when you lack that evidence, doubt seeps in like water through the cracks of your ambition. You begin to believe that your effort isn't enough, that maybe you're not built for momentum, that you'll always be the one who starts strong and ends tired. But it's a lie, a beautifully disguised one that your brain tells you to protect itself from disappointment. What you need is not more motivation. You don't need another morning routine, another productivity app, another affirmation on your mirror. You need something simpler, quieter, older, a way to see with your own eyes the truth that you're already moving forward. You need a mirror for your effort. You need a place where proof lives. That place is what I call your done list. It's deceptively simple. Each day, instead of obsessing over what's left undone, you document what you finished, the actions, however small, that moved your life forward. The conversations you had, the problems you solved, the decisions you made, the promises you kept. You record not your plans, but your completions. Because when you capture completion, you reclaim confidence. This is not another to-do list. It's not about planning or scheduling or measuring output. It's about reprogramming your perception, teaching your brain to see progress instead of absence, evidence instead of emptiness. Because when you start recording what's done, you start seeing who you are becoming. You start recognizing patterns of consistency that were invisible before. You start understanding that your story is not one of endless striving, but of steady completion. We live in a culture addicted to what's next. The moment something is finished, it disappears from attention, replaced instantly by the next challenge. We mistake motion for meaning, activity for achievement, exhaustion for progress. But here's the truth. Most people never stop to face. Progress, real progress, is often invisible in real time. It's like the growth of a tree. You don't see the change in the bark or the branches from day to day, but months later, it has become something stronger, deeper, and undeniably alive. The same is true for you. Every small act of completion, every finished task, every moment of follow-through adds up to something larger than you can see. But because you don't track it, your mind forgets it. It's like deleting the record of your own evolution. And when you can't remember your own proof, you start believing you're standing still, even while you're climbing. A done list changes that. It's not a journal of feelings or a log of events. It's a witness to your growth, your persistence, your quiet victories. Every line you write in it becomes a kind of contract between your effort and your evidence. You stop hoping that you're making progress and start knowing it. The act itself takes less than 5 minutes, but those 5 minutes recalibrate the way you see yourself. You sit down at the end of the day, take a pen, and write down what you actually finished. Not what you meant to do, not what you tried to start, but what you completed. It could be as grand as closing a deal or as ordinary as finally organizing your desk. The power doesn't come from the scale of the task. It comes from the recognition of closure. Your brain needs closure to feel safe, and your confidence needs closure to grow. Over time, those daily notes turn into something extraordinary, a map of your momentum. You start seeing patterns, how you show up, when you work best, what truly matters. You begin to notice that your most productive days don't come from chaos, but from clarity. You notice that confidence isn't built by promises, but by proof. And this proof accumulates quietly, day after day, until one evening you look back and realize that the person you doubted has been showing up all along. But there's something deeper hidden beneath this practice. Writing your done list is not just about tracking progress, it's about rewriting identity. Because identity is not what you tell yourself, it's what your actions repeat. When you start documenting completions, your mind begins to associate you with follow-through, not failure. You stop calling yourself inconsistent or lazy and start recognizing that you're someone who finishes. That's how identity shifts, not through self-talk, but through self-evidence. In the beginning, this shift feels subtle, but then something beautiful happens. You start working differently. You finish more because you crave the satisfaction of recording completion. You stop multitasking because you realize scattered effort gives you nothing to write down. You start protecting your focus because each distraction feels like stealing from your own story. And that story, your story, begins to change shape. When you look at a week's worth of done lists, you see patterns that were invisible before. You notice that the small tasks, the ones that felt meaningless in the moment, often led to the biggest breakthroughs. You realize that the morning you almost skipped your writing session was the same morning you finally captured an idea that changed your strategy. You see that progress isn't about speed, it's about rhythm. A rhythm of showing up, completing, and recording. Each page becomes a mirror, reflecting not who you wish to be, but who you've already become. The pages begin to fill with evidence that you are capable, consistent, resilient. And when doubt visits, because it always does, you no longer need to argue with it. You simply turn to your done list, flip through the pages, and show it proof. Doubt loses its power in the presence of evidence. This is how confidence grows. Not from affirmations whispered in the mirror, but from the quiet knowledge that you have followed through on your word. The done list gives you that knowledge, that irrefutable record that your mind can't distort or forget. And yet most people never build one. They resist it because they mistake self-recognition for arrogance. They think that writing down what they've finished is boasting. But there's nothing arrogant about truth. There's nothing vain about accuracy. You're not showing off, you're showing up. You're not inflating your ego, you're grounding your reality. The truth is, people who never acknowledge their progress end up living in a permanent illusion of inadequacy. They spend years trying to feel accomplished, never realizing that feelings are fragile and easily manipulated by exhaustion, comparison, and fear. Evidence, on the other hand, is solid. It's ink on paper. It doesn't depend on your mood or your memory. It's there when you need it most, when you're tired, uncertain, or tempted to give up. That's the deeper purpose of the done list. It's not just about tracking progress, it's about building resilience. It's a system that whispers, even on your worst days, you are still moving forward. Over weeks and months, those pages begin to change how you approach life. You stop measuring success by what's next and start measuring it by what's done. You stop asking, why am I not further ahead? And start realizing, look how far I've already come. The very act of writing it down becomes a daily declaration. I finished. I followed through. I kept my word. And in a world obsessed with endless striving, that's a revolutionary mindset. As days turn into weeks, you start to notice a shift that feels almost physical. Finishing something no longer feels like crossing a finish line. It feels like exhaling after holding your breath too long. Each completed task frees a small piece of energy that you didn't know was trapped inside you. And as those fragments return, you begin to feel lighter, more certain, more in control. You're no longer running from unfinished work. You're moving toward completion, step by deliberate step. But here's the hidden truth. The done list isn't just a productivity tool. It's a form of therapy for the modern mind. We live in a world that praises busyness as a badge of honor and treats rest like guilt. We rush from one commitment to another, measuring our worth in output instead of outcomes. Yet every time you pause to record what you finished, you break that cycle. You create a moment of stillness in which the noise of obligation gives way to the clarity of evidence. That single act, writing down a completed action, tells your nervous system that the loop is closed, the danger is over, the mind can rest. It's a neurological reset disguised as a quiet ritual, and the more often you perform it, the calmer your inner landscape becomes. You start sleeping better because your brain no longer spins through unfinished tasks. You start thinking more clearly because you've created a place for closure to live. Think about how most people end their days. They lie in bed scrolling through screens, comparing their unseen efforts to everyone else's highlights, feeding the illusion that they're perpetually behind. You, however, have a different ritual. You open your notebook, glance at your list, and whisper to yourself, "I did enough today." Not in a tone of surrender, but in recognition of truth. You see in black ink the proof that your time was not wasted, that your energy created something tangible. And that simple acknowledgement changes how you begin the next morning. When you wake up, your brain doesn't start from scarcity. It starts from momentum. It remembers success because you've given it evidence to recall. You don't have to fight to feel motivated. Motivation rises naturally from the memory of completion. That's the quiet genius of the done list. It rewires the emotional sequence of your days. Some evenings you'll look down at your page and see only small entries. Replied to client, cleaned inbox, took a walk. They might seem insignificant, but each one represents a promise kept, a decision made, a moment of presence. Accumulated over time, these micro moments create the architecture of mastery. The person who honors the small completions becomes the person capable of achieving great ones. Because greatness isn't born from grand gestures, it's built from the discipline of finishing the small. There will be nights when you don't want to write anything. Days that felt like chaos, hours when you stumbled more than you stood. Those are the nights the done list matters most. Sit down anyway. Write down one thing, just one, that you managed to complete. Maybe you showed up to a meeting even when you wanted to hide. Maybe you sent the apology you were avoiding. Maybe you simply endured. Write it. Close the loop. Tell your mind that even in disorder, something was finished. That act keeps the thread of progress unbroken, and one unbroken thread is enough to pull you through a difficult season. Over time, this practice becomes more than habit. It becomes identity. You begin to recognize yourself as someone who follows through. That recognition changes how you speak, how you plan, how you lead. You no longer chase motivation. You operate from integrity. You no longer need others to validate your productivity. Your notebook does that for you. And when self-doubt whispers that you're not enough, you have written proof that you are. I've watched high-performing executives, exhausted parents, and creative professionals transform under this simple ritual. One executive told me that the done list saved his marriage. Not because it changed his workload, but because it changed his awareness. For years, he came home frustrated, venting about what remained unfinished. When he began ending each day by writing down 3 things he'd completed, his tone shifted. He came home lighter, more present, more capable of gratitude. His family felt the difference long before he realized it himself. Another woman, a writer, used the done list to climb out of a creative rut. She'd been drowning in perfectionism, deleting pages instead of finishing them. The day she started logging every paragraph she completed, her momentum returned. Seeing proof of daily progress quieted the critic in her head. Within 6 months, she'd finished a manuscript she'd been struggling with for 3 years. Her words didn't change. Her relationship to completion did. That's the real transformation this practice brings. It turns progress into something visible, something undeniable. You begin to trust yourself again, and self-trust is the foundation of every meaningful achievement. Without it, goals feel like threats. With it, goals become invitations. The done list is also an antidote to the culture of endless comparison. When you measure yourself against others, you're chasing illusions. But when you measure yourself against your own record of completion, you're dealing with truth. The truth that your path is unique. The truth that your growth is measurable. The truth that progress, however small, is sacred. In time, the notebook itself becomes something precious. Its pages, filled with the ink of your effort, start to feel alive. On bad days, you can open it and trace your own evolution. The quiet mornings when you kept promises to yourself, the afternoons when you pushed through fatigue, the evenings when you ended stronger than you began. Each entry whispers, You've done more than you remember. And that whisper becomes the soundtrack of resilience. Sometimes I tell people to think of their done list as a time capsule of competence. A year from now, you'll flip through it and meet earlier versions of yourself. The one who struggled, who learned, who still showed up. You'll realize that confidence didn't arrive overnight. It was built line by line on pages like these. And that realization will humble you because you'll see that progress was never a matter of talent. It was a matter of attention. Attention is what the modern world steals most ruthlessly. Notifications, updates, deadlines, crises, all of them claw at your awareness. The done list is how you reclaim it. It's a daily declaration that says, I decide what deserves to be remembered. You give permanence to what matters instead of letting it vanish in the blur of the next distraction. As weeks pass, you might begin noticing patterns, subtle truths about how you operate at your best. You'll see that your sharpest problem solving happens before noon, that your creativity peaks after a walk, that you complete more when you begin the day with clarity rather than noise. This awareness isn't accidental. It's data gathered through consistency. And with it, you start designing your life around your strengths instead of your struggles. There's another quiet miracle that unfolds. As you fill more pages, gratitude begins to slip naturally into your awareness. You start to appreciate not only what you finished, but who helped you finish it. The colleague who reviewed your report, the friend who encouraged you, the stranger whose small kindness made your day easier. And without even trying, you find yourself writing more gratitude notes, speaking more acknowledgement, giving more credit. The done list doesn't just record what you did, it reminds you that you were never alone in doing it. That awareness deepens your humanity. You begin to see completion not as conquest, but as collaboration. Every finished task becomes a testament to the invisible web of support that sustains you. And as that recognition grows, so does your compassion for yourself, for others, for the process itself. There will be moments when the practice feels tedious. You'll wonder if it still matters. But that's like asking whether breathing still matters just because it's repetitive. The power is in the repetition. The done list isn't exciting, it's grounding. It's not flashy, it's faithful. It keeps you tethered to what's real when everything else feels uncertain. One day, without realizing it, you'll flip back through a year's worth of pages and feel something shift inside you. The person who once doubted, who once felt perpetually behind, will look smaller now, distant, almost unrecognizable. Because the new you has evidence that the old you never had. Evidence that you keep promises. Evidence that you finish. Evidence that you grow. That's the quiet revolution the done list brings. It transforms your relationship with work, with time, with yourself. You stop chasing perfection and start honoring progression. You stop believing in overnight success and start believing in daily proof. You stop asking, am I doing enough? And start knowing, I am becoming enough. And when life inevitably throws you into seasons of uncertainty, when projects stall, when goals slip out of reach, when motivation evaporates, you'll have something most people don't. A tangible reminder that you've been here before and still moved forward. You'll open your notebook, read your own handwriting, and feel your strength return. Because that's what the done list really is. A conversation between the person you were and the person you're becoming. So tonight, when the world goes quiet and the doubts begin their whisper, take out your pen. Write down what you finished. Close the loop. Let your brain rest. Let your confidence breathe. The page is waiting, not to judge you, but to remind you. You did enough today. You are enough today. And tomorrow, you'll begin again, not from emptiness, but from evidence. Maybe that's the real purpose of the done list, not to prove what you've done, but to show you who you've become while doing it. Each finished line is a small act of self-respect, a quiet reminder that progress doesn't shout. It whispers softly every time you follow through. And if you listen closely, you'll start to hear a rhythm forming beneath your days. Not loud, not dramatic, but steady. It's the rhythm of showing up, the rhythm of doing what matters even when no one sees. The rhythm of a life built, not in bursts of brilliance, but in steady, ordinary completion. That rhythm is where your real power lives. Because growth isn't born in moments of inspiration, it's born in repetition. In what you return to, in what you keep alive, in what you refuse to abandon. And that's where we go next, into the quiet science of consistency. The final chapter reveals how habits become the architecture of your destiny, how the smallest routines can shape the largest outcomes, and how discipline once understood can feel less like pressure and more like peace. Chapter 9. Keep going. You've reached the point most people never do, the place where clarity meets commitment. You now hold something rare, a complete framework for thinking clearly, acting deliberately, and creating momentum that doesn't fade when motivation does. What you've built isn't complicated. It doesn't depend on constant inspiration or endless external input. It's made of simple, repeatable actions, the kind that fit on pages you can carry anywhere and execute everywhere. This isn't the conclusion of your journey. It's the start of a different way of living. Because everything changes the moment you stop chasing productivity and start building systems that work for you, not against you. You're about to witness what happens when scattered energy becomes focused movement. When reaction gives way to strategy, when intention becomes execution, and when results stop being accidental and start becoming inevitable. The pen in your hand isn't a pen anymore. It's a steering wheel. It directs your attention, it drives your priorities, and it records your proof of progress. It's the difference between hoping things will improve and making them improve. It's the bridge between who you are and who you are capable of becoming. What you've built is more than a set of methods. It's an operating system for life. 7 interconnected disciplines that combine truth, clarity, focus, evidence, and gratitude into a single continuous loop of progress. Each part reinforces the others. Each practice multiplies the power of the next. Together, they create the momentum that turns effort into mastery. The foundation began with honesty. The life audit forced you to look at your world without filters, to see not what you wished was true, but what actually was. You learned that you can't optimize what you refuse to confront. You mapped your life across its real dimensions: work, health, finances, relationships, learning, and freedom. You identified the constraints instead of chasing the symptoms. You converted vague problems into specific actions, and those actions into keystone fixes with clear accountability. The fog lifted because truth replaced denial. From that foundation, everything else became easier. Then you learned to empty your mind before you fill it. The daily free writing became your reset switch. 12 minutes that freed your thoughts from chaos. It wasn't about being eloquent. It was about being clear. You stopped letting thoughts pile up unspoken, where they became mental clutter, and started capturing them before they could sabotage your focus. You wrote continuously until the noise quieted, until emotion gave way to insight, until your inner critic lost its grip and your real intelligence surfaced. You discovered that stillness doesn't mean silence, it means order. When you began using the Splurge list, you learned to externalize everything that was stealing your attention. Every open loop, every half-formed idea, every minor demand, all out of your head and onto paper. In minutes, you had visibility. You could see what mattered and what didn't. You learned to do, defer, or delete, to treat your attention as a finite asset, not a bottomless resource. You realized that clarity isn't just about knowing what to do, it's also about knowing what to ignore. Strategic neglect became your ally. Then came precision. The rule of 3 taught you to narrow your focus to the few things that actually move life forward. 3 meaningful tasks per day, not 5, not 10. Just 3 that matter most. You learn to sequence them intelligently, to start with what's hardest, move through what's fastest, and finish with what's creative. That single discipline changed everything, because you stopped measuring days by busyness and started measuring them by impact. You no longer ended evenings drained and uncertain, you ended them complete. From there, you began feeding your own curiosity systematically. The idea bank transformed you from a consumer of random thoughts into a curator of usable intelligence. 1 line per idea, dated, tagged, reviewed. Each week, you starred what mattered and turned one idea into tangible action. Over time, you created something that few people ever build, a living archive of your evolving insight. You realized that creativity isn't about waiting for inspiration, it's about catching it. Then you rediscovered the power of human connection. Gratitude notes turned appreciation into strategy. You learned that in a world of digital noise, effort stands out. 3 sentences, handwritten, sincere. You began to notice the quiet strength in slowing down, in recognizing others with precision. It wasn't flattery. It was leadership, the kind that earns loyalty instead of demanding it. The results were subtle but powerful. Relationships deepened, opportunities multiplied, trust compounded, because genuine gratitude never returns empty. Finally, you built the done list, the mirror that reflects your actual progress. You learned that most people destroy their confidence by focusing only on what's incomplete. You stopped feeding that illusion. Every day, you recorded what you finished. You created proof of effort, proof of effectiveness, proof of growth. Over time, those entries formed something extraordinary. Not just a list of completions, but a record of transformation. You no longer needed to convince yourself you were improving. You could see it. 7 practices, each simple, each practical, but together they form an unstoppable loop of self-correction and momentum. Truth feeds clarity, clarity feeds focus, focus feeds execution, execution builds evidence, evidence builds confidence, confidence renews action, and action repeated becomes identity. That's the loop, that's the system, that's the hidden engine that turns discipline into ease. What begins as deliberate becomes instinctive. You no longer have to force the behavior. The structure holds itself. The system doesn't weigh you down. It lifts you. The repetition stops feeling repetitive because it's producing results. You no longer need to hype yourself into motion. Your own evidence pulls you forward. You've crossed the line between forcing progress and living it. Something else has changed too. You've begun leading differently, not through authority, but through example. You no longer react to chaos. You set the rhythm. Your presence brings order because you've learned to operate from clarity instead of confusion. When others hesitate, you act. When others chase, you decide. People trust your commitments because you've proven consistency. They follow your lead because your results are visible, repeatable, and real. You've stopped waiting for credibility. You've built it. Your stress has dropped, not because you're doing less, but because you're doing what matters in the right sequence. You've separated motion from meaning. You've replaced noise with flow. You've learned that progress doesn't always feel dramatic. It often feels calm. You don't chase urgency anymore. You direct it. The shift is visible everywhere, in how you work, how you think, and how you connect. You've stopped managing your time like a hostage and started designing your life like an architect. You've stopped confusing speed with strategy. You've stopped mistaking effort for effectiveness. You've stopped waiting for inspiration and started creating the conditions that make inspiration inevitable. And when it comes to relationships, the changes go even deeper. You've learned that influence isn't built through frequency, but through sincerity. That trust isn't earned by talking louder, but by showing up with clarity and follow-through. You've become the person people rely on, the one who notices, who remembers, who delivers. You've turned communication into connection and attention into respect. The web of goodwill you've built now moves quietly on your behalf. It carries your name into rooms you've never entered. It opens doors without you having to knock, because people remember how you made them feel, respected, seen, valued. That's the power of your system in motion. And through all of it, you've developed new capabilities. You can now produce meaningful work consistently because you've learned to protect deep focus from shallow distractions. You can say no without guilt because you know exactly what deserves your yes. You can advocate for yourself with confidence because your proof is written, documented, and undeniable. You no longer hope people will recognize your worth. You can show them. You've learned to capture ideas before they vanish, to turn inspiration into execution, and to keep your creativity alive through disciplined review. You've learned to maintain relationships through thoughtful attention, not convenience. You've learned to treat your own energy as a finite resource, directed, deliberate, and renewable. Most importantly, you've learned to compound your results, because this system builds momentum the way interest builds wealth, quietly, consistently, exponentially. Each day adds weight to the next. Each page strengthens the last. What once required discipline now requires only habit. What once felt like structure now feels like freedom. That's the paradox of mastery. It begins with structure and ends with flow. The truth is, the system doesn't get harder the longer you use it. It gets easier. Each loop reinforces the next. Each week of consistency reduces resistance. Each reflection sharpens the process. You begin to see patterns, what works, what doesn't, where your natural strengths live. You make adjustments effortlessly because the feedback is built in. You no longer need to overhaul your approach. You simply refine it. Over time, the system becomes invisible. The behavior becomes automatic. You wake up and start operating with a level of clarity that once took effort to find. Your notebooks hold your memory. Your notes hold your insight. Your records hold your evidence. And your confidence no longer depends on mood or circumstance. It rests on proof. Proof that you act, that you finish, that you follow through. But all of this means nothing without movement. Knowledge doesn't create change, action does. So right now, before you move on, do one thing. Open your notebook, any page, write today's date at the top. That small act isn't trivial. It's a declaration, a timestamp on the moment you decided to live differently. It's the bridge between what you know and what you'll do. Then take a breath and perform the ritual that started this entire journey. 5 lines, just 5. Capture everything fighting for your attention. Get it out of your head and onto paper. Mark each one. Do today, defer, delete. Circle the one that would move your life forward most if completed, and begin. Because this is where theory ends and transformation begins. This is where your habits start carrying you instead of the other way around. You're standing at a crossroads most people never reach. The intersection between knowledge and practice. You've seen the system. You understand its logic. You've felt its effects. The only question left is whether you'll keep using it when no one's watching. The difference between those who change their lives and those who only dream about it isn't intelligence or intention. It's repetition. Not perfect repetition, just consistent repetition. Small, steady action done daily until it becomes identity. Those who win at life don't chase motivation. They create momentum. They don't wait for the perfect time. They make time perfect by using it. They don't collect information, they apply it. Your pen is still in your hand. The page is still blank. The next chapter of your life hasn't been written yet, not by chance, but by choice. Write the date, choose your focus, begin. Everything changes when you do. The people you admire aren't using secret strategies or magical tools. They're using the same simple ones you now have: paper, pen, clarity, and consistency. They've just been using them longer. They've turned systems into instincts. And now you can too. You have everything you need. You know what to do. You've practiced the steps, you've seen the results. The question is no longer how, it's when, and the answer is now. Your transformation begins again with one line of ink on a blank page. Write it now. When the last words of a book fade, something deeper begins. It isn't silence, it's a kind of stillness that hums with possibility. The page has ended, but your story hasn't. What happens from here will depend on what you do next, and whether you let what you've learned live only in memory or carry it forward into motion. You've spent time walking through the ideas and practices of Write Your Future, 7 ways to change your life with just a pen. And whether you realized it or not, each moment you listened was a small rehearsal for change. The sound of your own thoughts meeting the words, the feeling of recognition when something true stirred inside you, the spark of focus when an idea clicked. All of that was the beginning of something much larger. Because change never starts with action. It starts with awareness. And now, you are aware. You've seen how writing reshapes your thinking. You've felt what happens when you pause long enough to translate noise into clarity. You've understood that ink and paper are not tools of nostalgia. They are instruments of control, of discipline, of creation. You no longer need to chase order. You can write it. From here, everything that happens will begin with one small act, showing up for yourself on the page. Not to be perfect, not to impress anyone, just to continue the quiet, private practice of turning thought into movement. You've done more than finish a book. You've built a rhythm. And rhythm, when protected, becomes power. Imagine what happens if you keep it. If every day you give yourself even 10 minutes to think deliberately, to capture what matters before the world distracts you again. Imagine a month of those pages, a year of those thoughts, a decade of those intentions preserved and refined through your own handwriting. The kind of insight that would accumulate, the kind of strength that would grow, the kind of future you would shape, not by chance, but by craft. That's the gift this book wanted to give you. Not just knowledge, but proof that change is not out there somewhere. It's right here, in your hands, disguised as something ordinary. A pen, a notebook, a decision to begin. So as you reach the end of this journey, take a moment. Feel the weight of what you hold. Not the book, but the truth it represents. You no longer need to wait for motivation, permission, or the perfect plan. You only need to remember that the smallest written line, repeated with intention, will always beat the biggest dream left undone. You've learned to write your clarity, to plan with honesty, to think with precision, to acknowledge with gratitude. And now all that's left is to live it. Every page, every thought, every quiet moment of deliberate creation. Because writing your future isn't something you do once, it's something you become. It's the way you start meetings with clarity instead of confusion. It's the way you end your day with evidence instead of doubt. It's the way you handle fear with reflection instead of avoidance. It's the way you connect with sincerity instead of speed. The pen in your hand is the bridge between thought and proof, between who you are and who you are still becoming. Every line you write is a vote for the kind of person you want to be. And maybe that's the real reason this book found you. Not to teach you something new, but to remind you of something you already knew deep down, that you were never powerless. You were only distracted. The moment you pick up the pen again, the fog lifts. So before this chapter closes, I want you to do something. Find a clean page. Write the words, "I am still writing my future." Then add today's date beneath it. Let that be your reminder that no matter how many pages have already been written, you can always start again. That's the quiet miracle of writing. You can restart your life at any time, simply by returning to the page. This isn't the end of Write Your Future, 7 ways to change your life with just a pen. It's the beginning of you living it. As this final moment arrives, let gratitude sit beside you for a second. Gratitude for the time you've given, for the energy you've invested, for the choice you made to listen when the world begged you to scroll. Gratitude for every silent realization, every spark of clarity, every decision to keep going. From everyone at Book Sounds Better You, thank you for listening, for staying, for believing that small actions still matter. You could have filled your hours with noise, but you chose growth. You chose reflection. You chose yourself. That choice will echo wherever you are right now, on a walk, in a car, sitting quietly at the edge of your day. Pause. Look around you. Everything you see began as someone's idea written down. Every bridge, every building, every song, every system, all of it started the same way you'll start again tomorrow, with words. So remember that you too are a creator. You too can build something lasting from a simple moment of clarity. If life ever pulls you off course, don't panic. Return to the paper. Write what you feel. Write what you want. Write what's next. Every time you do, you'll find your direction again. Because the future doesn't ask for perfection. It only asks for participation. And now, you know how. So go ahead. Keep your notebook close. Keep your thoughts honest. Keep your words deliberate. Keep writing until the person you imagine and the person you are meet in the same line. That's what it means to write your future. On behalf of Book Sounds Better You, I want to thank you for letting this voice walk with you, for letting these words find a place in your days. My hope is that whenever life gets loud, this book will whisper back the truth you already own. You are capable, you are evolving, and you are not done yet. May you keep writing, even when it's hard. May you keep reflecting, even when the world rushes past you. May you keep choosing intention over impulse, truth over noise, and gratitude over fear. And when you do, may your pages fill with evidence that you built something steady and real in a world that moves too fast to notice. Your pen is waiting. Your next page is blank. Your story is still being written. Begin again. And remember, everything changes when you do. This has been Write Your Future, 7 ways to change your life with just a pen. From all of us at Book Sounds Better You, thank you for listening, for reflecting, and for writing your way forward.